Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Working towards the weekend. If you've made it already, cheers! If not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Big recruiting weekend for LSU football. We're going to talk about that in 15 minutes with Sam Spiegelman of Rivals. Do want to mention the Lady Tigers as well as Kim Mulkey's team will get its NCAA tournament journey underway later this afternoon at 5 o'clock. They're a 51.5-point favorite over Jacksonville, so I'm feeling pretty good about the win today. We'll talk about Sunday's game as well with Patrick Wright, the voice of the Lady Tigers, coming up in 90 minutes. We'll talk about yesterday in March Madness, a little bit of what's going on today as we sit here right now. Kentucky has just hit a bucket with 5 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the game. They lead Santa Clara by a single point. That is a 7-10 game between Kentucky and the Steve Nashless Santa Clara somethings. We'll see if Mark Pope can get Kentucky to the finish line. We'll get you updates on scores throughout the show today. Let's crank things up the way we do every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
Is it just me, or does today just feel a little better? Does it just feel a little easier? Is there a little tension released after what we watched last night at the box? I'm not here to tell you LSU's figured it out. I'm not here to say, look out, they've turned the corner, they're turning it on. I'm just saying it's been a minute since we could sit back and watch a game where LSU just completely controlled the pace, the flow, the action of a baseball game, and they did it last night. I asked for it like 3 times on the show yesterday. You got it last night. And the start of the game was noteworthy. Cam Johnson was just abysmal. He was nowhere near the strike zone as long as he was out there. I mean, he only got 4 outs, and one of them was a 3-2 pitch that missed by 2 feet, and John Pearson swung at it. He was nowhere near the zone. And you're looking at a guy, y'all know the story on Cam Johnson, 6'5", 250 pounds, 96-mile-an-hour left-hander. He's got a good changeup and a good slider. He cannot throw it over the plate. And I don't know what happened the first month of the season, but he couldn't throw it over the plate 2 years ago at LSU. He couldn't throw it over the plate last year at Oklahoma, and he hadn't thrown it over the plate in 2 outings in SEC play. And so for LSU to get off to a good start and to get a run in the first and then get the 4th spot in the second, that eased things up for sure, but that's not the lead, obviously. The lead is that your ace pitched like an ace. It was spectacular, and to me, it was Kason Evans' best career outing by a mile. Now look, the game against Little Rock last year that he took over and struck out 9 in a row, that was more impactful, absolutely. LSU season was on the line. You were down 5-1. He came in, stemmed the tide, shut him down, and you got the big hit from Fry, and LSU was off and running, and they won the game and ended up going to win the national title. That was a more impactful outing. But in terms of just going out there and pitching, this was the best version of Kason Evans I have ever seen. He was throwing nothing but strikes. He went to 2 3-ball counts the entire time he was out there, and that was for 7 2/3 innings. He had 1 walk. It was the last guy, and it was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that just missed a little bit up. His 110th pitch was 96 miles an hour. And the most important thing to me, well, I shouldn't say that. The most important thing was that he was in the strike zone all night. All night. Only 2 3-ball counts the whole way. That's the most important thing. But secondary to that, and still very, very important, was that Kason Evans completely commanded all 4 of his pitches. He was pumping the fastball in for a strike whenever he wanted to at 94, 95, every time. He was flipping the breaking ball in for a first pitch strike when he wanted to. He was burying each breaking ball for a swing and a miss when he wanted to. And the changeup was elite. That is his best pitch. And at times, he's sprayed the ball so much that he just hasn't been able to work pitches off of one another. But because he was in the zone so consistently last night, when he would then throw pitches that faded out of the zone in the case of the changeup or darted out of the zone in the case of the curveball or the slider, they were chasing because they knew that he was throwing strikes and he was tunneling the fastball off the breaking stuff. And it was a thing of beauty. He was awesome. And I think, one of the very cool statistics that I pulled up from the box score when I was looking at it was that he got 15 strikeouts in this game. He got 12 of them swinging. Sometimes you just fool a guy and they buckle, and that's a great pitch too. But the stuff was so good, 12 of the 15 strikeouts he got, they waved over the top of. They had no answer for anything he was doing. None. And that is so vital. Jay Johnson made a great comparison last night. I didn't think about it, but it did. When in retrospect, it was very, very apt. He said when we watched Casey Evans last night, he felt like he was watching Rhett Lauder from that Wake Forest LSU Skeens Lauder game that Tommy White hit the walk-off in. That was probably the greatest pitcher's duel in the history of college baseball, based on where those guys were drafted, what those guys had been to that point in their career in that season, what those two teams looked like offensively, the amount of big leaguers on that field in that stadium with that on the line to play for a championship. Probably the greatest pitcher's duel in the history of college baseball. And Rhett Lauder that night was just throwing everything for strikes. He was floating the changeup up there. He was spinning breaking balls. He would ride the fastball up in the zone. And LSU just didn't really have a good answer for him. Now, Skeens was blowing Wake Forest away on the other side, so LSU matched him pitch for pitch there. But it was reminiscent of that. Certainly the stakes weren't as big. I wouldn't pretend that. But just from what it looked like visually, to continue to attack the zone and to continue to stay ahead of guys and then to continue to put them away was amazing. He threw 110 pitches, 76 were for strikes last night. And Oklahoma's not a brute offensive team, but it's a top 10 club right now. I don't think they'll finish there. But it's a solid offense with a lot of old players. Scored a lot of runs on Texas A&M pitching last week. And Casey Evans just stuffed them in a locker. It was phenomenal. And I'm not here to tell you he's turned a corner. I'm not here to tell you this is the same guy you're going to get every single weekend. But you needed this. If Casey Evans goes out there last night and goes 3 2/3 with 4 walks and 6 earned runs allowed, just some sort of disastrous outing. If that happens, hypothetically, you have to look at changing the face of this team, which is the starting rotation. They're still working through what they want to do defensively on the infield. They're still working through who they want to play day to day. They're still working through what the lineup looks like. They're still trying to nail down bullpen roles and who they can trust nightly, not just who's got the best stuff. Right now, the constant on this team is Evans, Moore, Schmidt. That's the only thing that has stayed the way it was opening weekend and remains. You had injuries in the outfield. You're shuffling where guys hit. Second base, third base, first base, DH, catcher, all up in the air. Bullpen roles not really decided. The starting rotation is the face of this thing. And if Evans isn't good last night, you have to seriously consider changing it with the extra day that you're provided by this Thursday, Friday, Saturday start. If you need to move Schmidt up, if you need to move Moore up, if you need to move Evans back or to the bullpen, you have to start having conversations. If he gets hit last night, that's both SEC weekends. His ERA was almost 6.5 entering last night. You've got to strongly consider changing what you're doing with the most consistent piece of your team. And instead, the conversation is not that on this day. The conversation is, can he harness that? Because this is the point in the calendar last year where Kate Anderson found it. We're about a week and a half, 2 weeks from the point in the calendar where Anthony Ianson found it. And Nate Yeske's got a track record of this, and stuff ain't a problem for Casey Evans. Now, they made some changes during this week with his preparation. Jay Johnson has challenged his assistant coaches to work as hard as possible. He said last night, it's easy when it's great when you're winning national championships and hanging banners and all that. The time the players actually need you is now. And he took this very seriously on that extra day in Nashville. And when they flew home on Monday evening, we talked to Chris Blair yesterday, LSU landed somewhere around 5 o'clock, 5:30 on Monday. And Kason Evans and his catcher and Nate Yeske and Jamie Tutko went straight to the bullpen. And they worked. And whatever they did, it looked the part last night. Because this is something I've talked about on a few different occasions. You can fake it at times pitching, and you can fake it sometimes hitting in terms of the line score. I can get you a 3-for-4 day where you don't hit the ball worth a flip. Swing and bunt, a flare, and a 14 hopper through the shift. That's a fake day, but it looks good on the line score. You can do it pitching too. Reliever can come in and get a save and give up 2 screamers to the third baseman and a fly ball that gets caught at the track. Did you have your best stuff that day? No, the line score looks good. 1 inning scoreless, no walks. But sometimes the pitching matches the paper. Last night, if you watched that game and then you turned on the box score after the game was over and you go, okay, well, I saw that. That looked really good from Evans. Like, what did he do? And it says 7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run. It was not earned, 15 strikeouts and 1 walk. Okay, that's pretty salty. And I'll leave you with this aspect of Kason Evans' start last night that was so impressive to me. He got 15 strikeouts. One of them was not one of the outs he recorded because Cade Arambidi couldn't find it, and it ended up being a base runner. So it counts as a strikeout on Evans' line, but it's not one of the outs he records. So 14 of his outs recorded of the 15 strikeouts, 14 were outs, and 9 were ground balls. That's the 23 outs he got. No fly balls. And in this era of baseball, first person I ever heard talk about this was Chris Bryant in like 2015. So it was over 10 years ago. I'd never heard anyone say this before. It's not how I grew up. But he would say, and you know the term launch angle by now, but he would say ground balls are outs, fly balls are doubles, and home runs. You have to hit the ball in the air. And I'd never heard that my entire life. And that's the era that we're in now of launch angle and making sure that you're slugging and hitting doubles and home runs because those create runs more easily than singles do. Kason Evans did not allow Oklahoma to fly out in any inning last night. They did not produce a fly out. They struck out and they hit ground balls on the infield. If you limit teams to strikeouts and ground balls on the infield, it is going to be very difficult for them to score, especially when you've got 4 pitches. One of them is a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and one of them is a devastating changeup. And we told you, entering the Vanderbilt weekend, I shouldn't say we, I did, and I jinxed him. I told you last Friday, Kason Evans has not given up a home run in his LSU career. So this is not something new that was like a one-off thing. No, he doesn't allow a lot of fly balls. The one change that he made last night that he alluded to, and we'll see if teams try to disrupt this moving forward because now it's out there in press conference form. He wanted to get the ball and pitch. The tempo is important for Kason Evans. He's a former shortstop. He's an athlete. He's not one of these quirky, deliberate pitchers. He wants to play. He wants to get the ball. He wants to go. He strikes a guy out. Give me the ball. Where's the next guy? And he kept that tempo all night last night. And he said it was disrupted at Vanderbilt. He just couldn't get into a rhythm. I'm not here to tell you that all of Evans' outings will look like that. But if he can do that a couple more times over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're changing the outlook of this team because you're going to win more often than not when he does that. And if you've got a dog at the front of the rotation, it changes things. We know that around here. That's what I opened with on Monday. Yeah, they won a game. And yeah, they're not in a disastrous spot in terms of their record or their conference standing, losing a series at Vanderbilt, but it doesn't look like championship baseball. We're going to talk about the hitting in 15 minutes, and it wasn't a work of art last night offensively, but it was a work of art on the mound. It was brilliant by Kason Evans, and that is, we needed that more than oxygen around here. Awesome stuff from Kason Evans last night as LSU beats Oklahoma 7-1. They'll get back at it tonight at 6:30. It'll be Cooper Moore on the mound against LJ Mercurius. We'll talk about those guys a little bit later on in the show today. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. Let's transition over to football. It's a big recruiting weekend, including some big-name players from Louisiana that will be here for Lane Kiffin's staff. We'll talk about that with Sam Spiegelman next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. You need to be able to trust your roofer. So if it's somebody that just comes in because there's been a storm and they might be gone by the time the storm damage is repaired and the new roofs are put on, can you really trust them? How about you trust a local company that was started right here in Baton Rouge by people from right here in South Louisiana. They're going to be here throughout storms, throughout hard times. So if there is an issue on your roof, or you want to know if there's an issue on your roof, send them up there for that inspection. If you need a new roof, they can help you with that. Even if financing needs to be done with your deductible or just to buy the roof outright, they can help you with financing. But more importantly, maybe you just need a repair. They can do that. Maybe you just need some fortification. You just need a tune-up. They can do that. They're not just here to sell you the new roof because it's the most expensive thing that's going to net them the most profit. They just want to help. That's what they're here for at Lifetime Roofing. Another thing they can help you with is gutters. Need gutters put in? They got you. Springtime, may need them. Siding, they got you. Windows, they can do that as well. So it's not just roofs over at Lifetime Roofing. Gutters, siding, and windows as well. Lifetime Roofing, find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
Another roof gone too soon. Looks like neglect. There's no doubt about it. This is a case of poor installation. At Pelican Roofing, we don't guess. We investigate to find the real cause of your roof's problems. Call Pelican Roofing for your free roof investigation today. Case closed.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. It's a Linton Friday. You want to get on by Corks. They are happy to have you. Government between Foster and Jefferson. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Got a little madness in St. Louis. Kentucky hits a bucket to tie the score with about 20 seconds to go against Santa Clara. Santa Clara comes down, kick out, 3-ball good with about 8 seconds to go. Kentucky inbounds, Otega Owe from 40 feet as time expires. Banked it in the bucket. We go to overtime at St. Louis. 3 game-changing plays in the last 20 seconds. Kentucky trying to stay alive. I don't know if I'm being hyperbolic to suggest Mark Polk might have gotten fired if they lose to Santa Clara, But we'll see. They still got 5 minutes of basketball to play. They are alive as we speak. Incredible stuff in St. Louis in the first window of the day. Let's talk a little football. Sam Spiegelman is with Rivals. Going to have to give us some time on a big recruiting weekend for LSU. He joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sam, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing great, hon. How about yourself?
Doing quite well. This is a time of year where a lot of visits are happening. There's going to be a spring evaluation period, obviously, as well, and it's Lane Kiffin's kind of first full cycle. So let's talk about what's going on campus this weekend, and I guess we'll start with Ahmad Hudson, someone that LSU fans certainly very familiar with, at least his family.
Yeah, this is a critical visit. This is his first time in Baton Rouge since Lane Kiffin, Joe Cox, and Billy Glasscock, since this whole crew has arrived in Baton Rouge. Of course, they were recruiting him at Ole Miss. We know that the elephant in the room is that Ahmad has publicly declared Nebraska as the team in front. He's been that since his last visit to Lincoln. So he's going to kick off his spring with back-to-back visits, Baton Rouge and then Lincoln, Nebraska. These are the top two contenders battling over the number one tight end in America, as we all just saw in Lake Charles, a fantastic two-sport athlete. And the latter, that's going to be probably the biggest talk this weekend with Ahmad Hudson back on campus. We know that his father, Antonio, is a legacy for the Tigers, a standout men's hoops player over there. Ahmad very much intends to play both sports in college. If you ask him why Nebraska's in front, it's because they're recruiting him so hard from the football and the basketball side. LSU will get their first opportunity to make their pitch to Ahmad. Obviously, with Trey'Dez Green being one of the focal points of their offense this year, that's only going to help. And maybe the basketball side will catch up too.
I realize this is not exactly your corner of the store, Sam, but there's a little bit of question around LSU basketball right now. How much could that impact the recruitment of the number one tight end in the country across the street?
Yeah, certainly he plays for Ruston High School, so He's only used to winning. What he's done from a football angle, playing in all these state championships the last few years, I expect that that's going to be a huge part of it, just as much as it will from basketball. I think if you asked Ahmad right now what his first love was, I think he might take a little bit to think about it. He's going to go in a place that's going to put him in the best spot to compete in both sports. If you asked him last year when Brian Kelly was the head coach, LSU was probably the leading front runner at that point. He's not afraid to buy into programs. He's about relationships as well. He's factoring a number of different things into this recruitment. You could throw NIL in there and the opportunity to play for his hometown team where his parents are obviously alumni. I think that's going to factor just as much as maybe the future of the men's basketball program overall.
I have not watched any of Ahmad Hudson. I'm looking at his profile, and he's 6'6". I know I watched his dad play basketball, but is he similar to Trey'Dez Green, or is that just a lazy, well, they're from Louisiana and they're tall and they like basketball?
I wish it was a lazy comparison, but he honestly is probably ahead of Trey'Dez Green as a football player.
Okay.
You said it before. I'm not a basketball expert, but I can tell you this: a couple of buddies were in Lake Charles watching him. I know that he put up almost a triple double, and nearly a quadruple double if you count the 9 blocks he had in the state championship game. From the football angle, I know he's ahead of Trey'Dez Green. Trey'Dez was so raw coming out of East Fell and then at Zachary, and he really took a huge step as a senior. Ahmad, what he did in the state championship game, he had his best game of the season. He has a knack for showing up on these big stages. He's got athletic traits through the roof. And most importantly, he's driven as anyone in the state, and he's a top 15, 20 player in America for very good reason. I know it's hyperbolic. I know I'm stealing your diction, but I think he's going to be a better player than Trey'Dez Green when he gets to college. Goodness
gracious, Trey'Dez is something special, so that's someone we'll certainly keep an eye on starting this weekend. Let's talk about blue chip wide receiver in Miguel Whitley, and then a 4-star running back in Trey Martin, 2 other players from Louisiana, where obviously Lane Kiffin's trying to keep folks home.
Yeah, LSU is doing a fantastic job in Miguel Whitley's recruitment. He's a top 100 player in America for Rivals. Again, I got to see him in the Caesars Superdome for when St. Aug played Carr in the state title game. I got to see him as an underclassman flashing. He is a fantastic athlete and a top priority for Lane Kiffin and George McDonald. They've gone in home with him shortly after taking the job in Baton Rouge. They got him on campus in January. Right now, I think it's safe to say that LSU is the team to beat in Whitley's recruitment. There are obviously some big contenders still waiting, including Ole Miss, Ohio State he'll be at next week. Tennessee has been swinging away here for a while, and he has to explore these contenders. He's really only been to Baton Rouge, and he's been to A&M a few times. A lot of schools are trying to get into the mix with Whitley. They're all playing catch-up with the Tigers. And then Trey Martin, a top 10 running back in America, coming off a sensational junior season. That's why he's number 10 at his position in America right now. LSU has made a big splash since they offered in January. They finally jumped on board in his recruitment, one of their first in-state offers after Coach Kiffin and Kevin Smith arrived in town. They got him on campus. Listen, they're playing catch-up with Alabama. Alabama was an early offer. He's been to Tuscaloosa a few times. But I think it speaks volumes that he's going to be back on campus this weekend for a second time in 3 months. He told me that LSU has continued to keep their foot on the gas with him. They had offered him at Ole Miss, and they were a part of his recruitment, and they picked up right where they left off. Houston is another team with some momentum. So is Ohio State. But this is a classic Alabama-LSU battle for one of the best in the state from North Louisiana. And this weekend will loom pretty large as he gets another look at LSU before he heads back to Tuscaloosa.
Visiting with Sam Spiegelman over there with Rivals. Big recruiting weekend for LSU on campus, specifically with a lot of players from in the state. Of course, Aiden Anding, a cornerback on the current LSU roster. Jaden Anding is going to be in town this weekend. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I love where LSU sits with Jaden Anding. He's been to LSU literally as many times as Aiden has when he was visiting as a recruit, and he's visited quite a few more times since Aiden obviously enrolled in Baton Rouge. There's a lot of teams that want a part of Jaden Anding's recruitment, Oklahoma being probably the primary competition for the Tigers at this point. But LSU is sitting in a great spot with Jaden Anding. It probably didn't hurt that Blake Baker and Corey Raymond and this defensive staff was held over on Lane Kiffin's staff. So they've already built tremendous rapport with Jaden Anding. They're obviously in a great spot knowing his family, and obviously Aiden choosing to return this season. I think they're in a great spot. I don't think an early commitment is necessarily in the works, though. They do really love Jaden Anding. He might take a few more visits, but he's someone I ultimately think will be in this class and probably not too far away from locking in his decision.
You look at LSU's 2027 class, and it's got just two commitments, Jaden Bryant and Pop Houston. I don't even remember when the last time LSU got a commitment was. I guess it was Jaden Bryant. It says there's January 3rd, so it's been almost 3 months. Do you feel like there could be some coming in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, 100%. This is when things are about to pick up for LSU, especially on the recruiting trail. These spring visits, some of these kids we mentioned, some of these new visitors coming back into town this weekend, and guys who will return over the next couple of weeks. This is their chance to see what Lane Kiffin's offense looks like, what Blake Baker's defense looks like. They're going to start to pile up on this class. They're in a great spot with a lot of visitors, not only this weekend, but guys who will be on campus next weekend. They've really solidified their board over the last few weeks, and they're going to go hunting. We have a lot of RPMs already in for LSU with this class. Now it's just a matter of time of when these dominoes begin to drop. I think it's going to start picking up maybe as early as this weekend, but not too far distant future with later this spring, especially with the spring game. And then by June, July, they should go on a run as they put together what should be a special class when you mention the in-state talent for 2027.
No question about it. If you're looking for recruiting updates, you can find it over there. Rivals on 3. Sam Spiegelman, part of the team over there. Give us a little time on this Friday. Have a great weekend. Thanks, man.
Take care, Hunt.
He is Sam Spiegelman. Looks like Kentucky is probably going to survive and advance. They were down to a 40-foot heave from Otega Owe at the end of regulation, and he splashed it home off the glass. They get into overtime. Santa Clara hit a couple of early shots, including a 3, and they were leading, but Kentucky's asserted themselves lately, and they're at the free throw line right now. We'll see if Mo Diabate can get that one to go. He does. So it's a 6-point lead for Kentucky with 31 seconds to go. In the madness, anything can happen, but it's an 8-0 run for Kentucky over a minute and a half, and Santa Clara is down to essentially its last gas. There goes a 3, and it's an air ball. I think Santa Clara may be low on. Oh, then they hit a 3. It's unbelievable. They cut it to 3. There's 18 seconds to go, so we'll get you updated when we come back. I want to talk about LSU offensively last night at the box. Got it done. Did enough. Showed some patience. What else did I take away from LSU's offensive effort? We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy, GCBR.com. Weekend's always a great time to play a little golf. If you don't have a tee time or don't have 5 hours this weekend to squeeze in a round of golf, go to Swing Easy. They're on Segan at Perkins, and it's a different experience. You can play 18 holes at Pebble Beach in 45 minutes if you know what you're doing. It's a great way to go hang out with friends, mix in a little golf. If you want to work on your game, you can do that as well at Swing Easy Golf Club. They'll bring you a bucket of beers on ice. They'll put the basketball on TV. You can play some tunes on their turtle box. Comfortable seating. It really is a great place to hang out. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, don't have any plans, but might want to hit some golf shots and watch some hoops, Swing Easy Golf Club is an awesome place to do it. Go by and see them at Perkins at Segan. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Kentucky Wildcats moving on to the round of 32. They survive on heck of an effort from Santa Clara. Santa Clara hit a three to take a 3-point lead with 8 seconds to go in regulation. Kentucky quickly inbounded with no timeouts, and Ortega Oweh threw one in off the glass as time expired to send it to overtime, and the Cats win the overtime period by 5 in St. Louis. They beat Santa Clara 89-84. So that's the first madness of the day. I'm sure there is much more to come later on. I'll remind you about Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com is the website. If you're looking for a truck, I can't give you any better option than Fabry Chevrolet GMC. It's the best option going right now, because currently they've got up to $11,000 off MSRP on Chevy Silverados. Up to $11,000 off. That's 5 figures in savings. or 1.9 APR financing. They got GMC Sierras up to $13,000 off MSRP, or 0.0 APR financing. You can't beat that. So if you're looking for a new truck, make that short drive to St. Francisville from Baton Rouge, from Baker, from Zachary, from New Roads or Ventress, or anywhere in the Felicianas. Head over to St. Francisville on Highway 61 and say hey to my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Get behind the wheel of a new truck this weekend at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. All right, let's talk offense. I spent the first 12 minutes of the show today on Case and Evans because the first 12 minutes needed to go to Case and Evans. He was sensational last night. Offensively, LSU did enough to win the game. And I want to be clear. In college baseball, some patience is a good thing. In college baseball, sometimes teams kick the ball around if you give them that opportunity. Tough for LSU to kick it around too much last night when Oklahoma goes out there and strikes out 16 times. But LSU only struck out 7 times last night. They put the ball in play, and Oklahoma threw up all over itself in the second inning and made 3 errors in the inning, all throwing errors on the infield, and LSU started the merry-go-round. It's going to happen sometimes. Now, I'm not here to tell you that's elite offensive play by LSU, but it is going to happen sometimes. And sometimes starting pitchers in college aren't going to have it. Vanderbilt's starter on Sunday had nothing, and LSU took its walks, didn't extend much, and put up some crooked numbers. And last night, Cam Johnson had nothing, which he didn't last week either. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult on the psyche of a hitter. Like, yes, I would much rather hit off Cam Johnson than Aaron Nola in college, but at least I know Aaron Nola is going to throw me nothing but strikes, and I can be aggressive and go take my swings. I might whiff at the sharp slider or the fastball painted on the outside corner, but at least mentally, I'm like engaged in the at-bat. When Cam Johnson's up there spraying it all over the place like a 12-year-old in player pitch, like it's hard to lock in because you take a little bit of your aggressiveness away because you don't want to extend the strike zone and help him out when he can't throw a strike. It's a little bit tough on the psyche of the hitter. But LSU did what it needed to do and got the ball in play and got the 4 runs across. But it wasn't a great offensive night. Like, if you told me that LSU was going to score 7, I'd feel okay about it. But it wasn't a great offensive night. LSU was 7 for 30 in the game. That's a 233 average. LSU with runners on base was 4 out of 22. That's 182. LSU with runners in scoring position was 3 out of 18. Now, I'll tell you that I would rather 3 out of 18 than, 3 out of 6. 3 out of 6 is a 500 average. 3 out of 18 is a 167 average, but at least you've created some opportunities. And LSU got the leadoff guy on. They did a really good job of that. They had 8 opportunities to hit because they didn't hit the bottom of the ninth. They got the leadoff runner on 6 out of 8 times. Unfortunately, you only scored that runner 2 out of the 6. You left him stranded throughout the middle innings. So you did some things well. You did not help Cam Johnson out, except John Pearson's one swing. And you got him out of the game early by driving his pitch count up because he was nowhere near the strike zone. You created scoring opportunities. You put the ball in play. You didn't strike out. But you're still not slugging. You're still not coming up with enough hard contact. You did in the 7th and 8th innings in Nashville on Sunday. But a lot of what you did in the 8th inning on Friday in Nashville was helped by a lot of wild pitches and whatnot. And a lot of what you did on Sunday early was a lot of help from their pitcher. And you got a lot of help from Oklahoma pitching early. I do like the at-bats John Pearson is giving. He had 2 more hits last night. I do love the fact that Omar Cerna is finding some things. He got 2 more hits last night, drew a walk. One of his hits was a double that he laced into left field. The ceiling on Cerna is very, very high. And we also know that LSU is very left-handed with its best bats. Like, Milam's going to be in there. He's better left-handed. Brown's going to be in there. He's left-handed. Curiel's going to be in there. He's left-handed. At this point, like, York is an everyday player. He's left-handed. You need some right-handed punch. And like Stanfield's awesome, and I want him in there, but he's not going to give you a lot of punch. He's going to hit some doubles, and that's great, but he's not going to hit for power. He's not going to like change the scoreboard a lot. Pearson and Cerna can, and Aaron Beatty's not right now, although he's been okay. But if you've got a couple more right-handed bats you can trust when teams go to a left-hander, I think that's a big positive for this team as you continue to try to find your way on offense. Look, 2 doubles and no homers is not awesome, but you created some traffic. You did draw 8 walks. You were hit by a couple pitches, and you scored 7 runs. So at this point, I'm not in the business of like just completely dismantling this offensive effort, only to state that they have a lot of room to grow. But I just don't know that you're going to get a ton of 0 for 7s from Milam and Brown, which is what you got last night, and you still scored 7 runs. Aaron Beatty and York, if you want to toss in there, they were 1 for 6. So you're talking about 2 for 13 from kind of like your everyday players, and you still scored 7 runs. I think that's good. And the fact of the matter is that while this offense continues to try to evolve, the pitching's got to pick them up. And you did last night. And I trust the guy you're sending out there to start tonight. I trust the guy you're sending out there to start on Saturday. You've not used Rizzi. You've not used Sheeran. You've not used Guidry. You've not used Garcia. Like, you still have a lot of arms. Those guys are going to have to be very good while this offense kind of figures some things out. Like, you're looking at this team right now, and Stephen Milam's hitting 241. Zach York's hitting 278. Aaron Beatty's hitting 270. Like, you've got a bunch of batting averages in there that, based on the competition you've played to this point, and you're only 4 games into league play, the rest is against non-league opponents. You got a lot. I mean, at this point in the year, LSU's usually got a lot of guys hitting 340. A couple guys hitting 408. And you don't have that. Like, Brown's hitting 391 and Curiel's hitting 326. But you're trying to figure out how to put guys out there offensively. You'll take some help when the other team will give it to you, and hope the pitching will pick you up. And last night, that was exactly how it played out. And it's exactly what LSU needed at that point, was to have a great starting pitching outing, and you got it. So the offense has a ways to go, and they're facing a really tough arm tonight that I'll talk about in 15 minutes. But last night, some good things. Patience, ball in play, couple of hits from some righty guys who were trying to work their way into the lineup, and you did it to help Case and Evans, who took it the rest of the way. So last thing on last night's game, and we'll turn the page to tonight and into Sunday at 2 o'clock, is that I loved another good outing, a clean outing from Zach Cowan. He was brilliant through 3 1/3 on Friday of last week when it looked like LSU was dead in the water, and I talked about him yesterday and how he can be helpful. And he came in, he threw 11 pitches, 8 of them were strikes. He got you 4 outs, got a strikeout, didn't allow any base runners. That's what you need. Like, I'm not ready to put him right there where Guidry and Sheeran are, and even Rizzi to an extent, but I'm perfectly willing to suggest he can get there because he did it last year. So having 2 good outings in a row, I think, is a very positive thing for Zach Cowan. It kind of goes in the shadows because LSU was in control of the game, up 7-1 when he comes in and gets 4 outs, when probably a lot of people were watching March Madness, or it was late on a school night, so you weren't paying attention anymore. But he did come in, throw it over the plate, use the changeup, got the spinner working, and like, it was okay. So that's a good thing for Cowan moving forward, to have 2 good outings in a row, and I think he's in a good headspace based on the press conference he gave on Wednesday, I believe. So that's another guy that you hopefully can use moving forward. Pitching to that point has got to pick these guys up while they're figuring out offensively. Cowan and Evans, big part of that last night. So good win for LSU, moved to 2-2 in league play, and now you're in an opportunity where if you can split the next 2, you get a series win, and if you can win tonight, got an opportunity with a really talented arm on Saturday to go try to sweep this thing. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself on that. We'll talk about getting a split right now. That seems very, very doable. Got a tough arm that you're facing tonight. We'll discuss that at the top of the hour at number 2. I want to remind you again about my friends over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. Want a po' boy? Cork's. Shrimp platter? Cork's. Catfish platter? Cork's. If you're heading out to Alec Box Stadium tonight or on Saturday, you want to feed some folks that are out there in the parking lot before you go on in, Cork's is happy to feed in bulk. They do a great job with catering, so check out the menu at corksfishandshrimp.com. I heard something, saw something really cool last night. I'm going to play it for you when we come back to close out the hour. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team do a great job with property and casualty insurance. I'll tell you about it just about every day. So if you're a business and you're looking for a second set of eyes, either to audit your policies or to present another option at renewal, obviously the Howland Insurance Group is happy to help you out with that. But they can also do group and employee benefits. It's a complex deal, but it's important. And if you're with this carrier that's kind of been jacking rates up and up and up over the last couple of years, and you're just sick of these renewals that come with this 14, 16, 18, 21% bump in premium, well, get a second opinion from the folks at the Howland Insurance Group. They are happy to help you out with your employees. You're with your group employee benefits. So that's important to keep people in your organization, to recruit new folks into your organization. If you're sick of those healthcare renewals, sick of those benefits renewals, want a second set of eyeballs, the Howland Insurance Group can help you out with that. They're online at highlandig.com.
The Cane's Box Combo, a symphony of flavors. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free, confidential help now.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Gotro's Outdoor Power, Gotro's Outdoor Power, 2 locations, one here in Baton Rouge on Airline Highway. You can't miss that one. They've got a mountain of inventory over there. Of course, they've got the Hustlers. If you're looking for a zero-turn mower, there's a ton of them over there on Airline Highway. Also got them in Gonzales as well. And remind you that next week, Mower Madness, March 23rd, which of course is Monday, through the 28th, which is Saturday, it's Mower Madness. Everything's on sale through the entire week. Going to be the best prices they've got all year. So if you want to get by and get 15% off all Echo products, You can do it during Mower Madness. $250 off all Hustler Raptors, up to 32% off MSRP on Hustler commercial zero-turn mowers. Plus, they'll be raffling off a pair of DeWalt 20-volt blowers at each store Friday at the open house. So get by and see them at Gotros at Airline Highway or in Gonzales next week for Mower Madness. The deals will be incredible. So you need a new zero-turn, this is the time to go do it at Gotros Outdoor Power. All right, I love play-by-play, guys. And this one kind of hit me last night when I was watching, saw it on Instagram. Kent Pavelka has been calling Nebraska basketball for over 40 years. Over 40 years on the mic at Nebraska basketball. And you may not know this, but Nebraska, until yesterday, had never won an NCAA tournament game. Never. And he had been on the mic for 40-plus years. And I saw this video of him as the clock counted down yesterday and Nebraska got a victory. And if you can visualize this on the radio, because I'll tell you, we're going to play it for you. He's sitting courtside. He's, of course, an older man. He's in a red bow tie, like straight out of an MLB broadcast from like 1954. And this is what the end of the broadcast, end of the game sounded like from the 40-plus year voice of the Nebraska Cornhuskers basketball team as they won a tournament game for the first time under his watch.
2 seconds, 1 second left to go, and there's the horn. There's the game! Nebraska's first NCAA win in history in Oklahoma City over the Troy Trojans. It's all over. It's all over. All the years going home from conference tournaments, sitting in front of the television, and the ache in the pit of your stomach wishing you could be there, and then getting to the NCAA once in a while and not winning. All that's history now, and not being a part of it. Now you don't have to go home and watch and dream. Watch and dream.
I mean, that was just awesome because at a certain point, he just dropped the basketball and he just started talking to Nebraska fans. Like, I know, I'm there with y'all. I'm right there, and you never get it. And I know if you're listening and you're a Saints fan, you felt that way, not when they win the Super Bowl. This is a different deal. When you win a playoff game, when Oz Hakeem dropped the ball, or maybe even when Hartley kicks a field goal and the Saints make it to the Super Bowl, like that's what you get from Jim Henderson. LSU were a little bit spoiled from this perspective. If you can go back to the 2003 national championship, it's probably not that. Maybe going to the Sugar Bowl under Saban kind of felt that way, where it's just been so long and the weight kind of lifted off. I certainly felt that way when the Cubs, won the pennant and went to the World Series. Nebraska didn't win the championship, and that would be a completely different thing. But I think a lot of us, at least, can empathize with a lot of struggles over a long period of time and then finally breaking through. For me, like when LSU made it to the Final Four in basketball, I mean, I was only 18 at that point. This guy's been calling it courtside for 40-plus years. I thought that was very cool, very raw, very emotional. I realized that it had the Moneyball clip behind it, which over dramatized it. That's just where we got it from Instagram. I don't have the call raw, unedited, but I just thought that was very, very cool. And one of the cool things in sports, like I don't want to hear Ole Miss or A&M's guy doing that, but I don't give a rip about Nebraska. So hearing a guy that's been doing it that long to have that emotion, I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, man, it breaks my heart because as a Pelican fan, I can only imagine being there and just be like, man, I was here at the bottom when they was giving away tickets to Hunt. At one point in time, I got Pelican tickets because I went and bought a large smoothie from Smoothie King. That's where I've come from.
You know what? It leaves the door open though.
Yeah.
My door is only open one way. It's LSU basketball going back to the Final Four and winning it. I've seen the Cubs do it. I've seen LSU baseball do it with my own eyes twice. I've seen LSU football do it with my own eyes 3 times. Like that, I would much rather be where I am than have never seen anything.
Yeah.
But there's something about having the door open, and the only true time that I really felt that in recent memory, because like I was a high school kid when LSU won in 2003. When the Cubs won in 2016, like I was 28 years old, and I'd watched a lot of crappy baseball, and I'd felt the weight of the curse, and I'd had that type of heartbreak before where they choked it away in 2003, and I thought they were the best team in 2008, and they got swept out of the playoffs. And now I don't have that anymore because they've already won. There's a charm to having never done it.
Man, you say that
is there.
I bet Browns
Assuming it
fans,
happens.
Yeah,
if it never happens, there's no charm. But assuming it happens, there's charm.
Okay, because I'm about to say, I bet Browns fans right now don't feel that way at all.
Well, Cleveland got its Cavs deal, but the Indians/Guardians have had their heartbreak, and the Browns are atrocious. But I think about all the time. I do a lot of emceeing around town with LSU, like alumni events, and speak to groups that are interested in LSU and all that kind of stuff. And I often reference like College Station, Texas, and places where they just have never seen it. I mean, Ole Miss and Mississippi State climbed the mountain finally, but like A&M hasn't won anything except women's basketball in our time. Like Arkansas has a basketball if you remember the early 90s, but people my age can't do that, and I'm knocking on 40's door here. So I consider myself very, very fortunate that my teams have climbed the entire mountain, but when you hear something with that much emotion in it, I just think it's cool, and it's something sports can offer. And yesterday certainly had that with Nebraska winning. We'll get you caught up on some scores from around the country in college basketball and March Madness here in the second hour. We'll talk some LSU baseball in the first segment. We'll also talk a little LSU women's basketball in 35 minutes with Patrick Wright as they get ready to roll in about 3 hours from now. Come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. It doesn't have to be a huge transformational renovation. If you want that, David Duvall and One Bath and Closets can do it. They can pull out tubs, pull out showers, put in tubs, put in showers, redo the floors, handle the plumbing, do the vanity, the whole. They can do the works in your closet or your bathroom. But maybe that's not what you're looking for. Maybe because of your budget or just because of what your issue may be, you want to do something smaller. That is absolutely in their purview at One Bath and Closets. The thing they do the most is a tub-to-shower conversion. If you've got a big hulking bathtub that you never used, that was built in the early 90s and has all the jacuzzi features, use that space for a new walk-in shower. Take the tub out, put the shower in. It can be done in 3 to 5 days. If you already got a shower, you can put a linen closet right there. These are the things that David Duvall and his team can do. Get that consultation at onebathandclosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email LockeMeredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit louisianapropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Benkin. The first game of the Friday schedule of the NCAA tournament went down to the wire and also went to overtime thanks to a pair of clutch three-pointers.
Gavaluga high right wing, works top of the arc, throws to Graves, right wing three for the lead. It is good! 2.4 seconds. So Sednek won a timeout. Kentucky the other way. Ole for the tie. Puts it in for 35 feet.
That call from Westwood One, the NCAA radio network, as Santa Clara and Kentucky both hit threes at the end of regulation. In overtime, Kentucky prevailed 89-84. Also, fifth-seeded Texas Tech defeated 12th-seeded Akron 91-71. Second half, top-seed Arizona rolling over LIU 61-34. And at the half, Wright State leading third-seeded Virginia 43-38. In college coaching news, former Troy coach Scott Frost has been named the new head coach at Georgia Tech. In the women's NCAA tournament, a pair of three seeds advanced. Duke over Charleston 81-64. TCU crushing UC San Diego 86-40. Halftime right now on ESPN is an 11-seeded Nebraska leading the 6th seed from Baylor 28-27. NBA Knicks Nets tip-off coverage tonight.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Monday as we get closer to the end of the NBA season, I'll tell you which team is running out of time to get it turned around. It's on Sportsmanlike 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour two, last hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you, as we are every Friday, by my friends over at Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. If you're looking to observe and not eat meat, Corks is a great option for you on Government between Foster and Jefferson. In 30 minutes, Patrick Wright, the voice of LSU's women's basketball program, will be with us to preview really the weekend. I'm not sure how deep we're going to dive into LSU in Jacksonville today. LSU is a 51.5-point favorite in that game. And I can't name anyone who's ever attended the University of Jacksonville or Jacksonville University or whatever it is, much less anyone on their women's basketball team currently, and I don't really care. I've watched Kim Mulkey's teams every November and December beat these kind of teams by 70, and I'm assuming that's going to happen again today at 5 o'clock. So we'll briefly touch on that, some things that Patrick wants to see, and then we will turn our attention to what will be Sunday's game versus either the 7 seed or the 10 seed. Could be the Texas Tech Red Raiders. We'll talk to Patrick in 30 minutes, so looking forward to that. Right now, I want to talk about tonight at the Box. LSU and Oklahoma, game 2 of a 3-game set, 6:30 first pitch from the Box, and it's going to be LJ Mercurius against Cooper Moore. I did not know until I started looking at Oklahoma's box scores yesterday in preparation for last night's game that LJ Mercurius' brother was on the team. We saw him last night. This is the second year in a row that Oklahoma has had average height right-handed brothers, one of whom's really good and the other one who's not quite as good in their pitching staff. Last year, it was the Witherspoon brothers with Kyson up front, and then this year it's the Mercurius brothers with LJ up front. But LJ Mercurius, I'm very interested to see how LSU handles him tonight for a couple of different reasons. Let me get you the backstory on him. He is a transfer from UNLV. He was in their starting rotation last year at UNLV. He comes over to Oklahoma, and he slotted in on Saturdays/game 2s this year. Got off to one heck of a start. He got to start in Arlington against Oklahoma State, which generally has a pretty good program. He went 5 1/3 innings. That means he got 16 outs. He had 12 strikeouts in that game and only allowed 1 earned run. So off to a remarkable start against Oklahoma State. He dominated Coppin State, as you would imagine, 5 one-hit shutout innings with 7 strikeouts. Good against Gonzaga, 7 innings of shutout baseball with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. Pitched against Santa Clara last week, 6 innings, 2 weeks ago, 6 innings, no runs, just 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks. So dominant stuff in the pre-conference. Let's see, math is not my strong suit, but that's 19, 28, 34 strikeouts against 6 walks in the non-conference for Mercurius, who looked great. I was watching the tape of him I didn't have a gun on him, but the fastball had some good rise to it. He throws a very good changeup that's deceptive, and he will spin a breaking ball as well. But the best two pitches, based on what I was looking at, and certainly in the Oklahoma State game, were the fastball that's got a high spin rate. You can tell by the way it holds its carry, and then he snaps that changeup off and fades it away from the left-handed bats. It's very, very good stuff. Then I turned on the A&M tape, and he went 5 innings against A&M, and he did strike out 7. But they hit him a little bit. They got 6 hits in the 5 innings, and 3 of them left the yard. And what struck me about the 3 home runs is that all 3 were on different pitches. I saw Gavin Grahovic get on top of a fastball and hammer it out of the yard. He hung a changeup, and he hung a slider, and all of them got hit out of the yard. So when the competition level spiked to SEC play, his performance wasn't as good. Now, A&M's offense is excellent. Caden Sorrell, Gavin Grahovic, Chris Akopian, they can really hit. Like Terrence Keel, they're really good on offense. So LSU has not been nearly as good as A&M offensively. And so that's not apples to apples, but you get the picture. And it's going to be a warm night at the box. LSU kind of feels a little bit better about itself. I'm curious to see how they handle Mercurius. He's better than Cam Johnson. He's going to throw strikes. He's got much better command, and his pitch mix is good. I don't know if it's as good as the first 4 weeks we saw. So the question is, how does Jay Johnson stack this? I'm not sure what the splits are on Mercurius because right-handed pitchers that have really good changeups sometimes are tougher on left-handed hitters than they are on right-handed hitters because they can fade that changeup away from the barrel. I think Jay Johnson likes the lineup he used last night with Pearson at third and Caraway at second because of the pressure that Oklahoma can put on your defense. Now, your starter goes out there and strikes out 15 like Case and Evans did. You don't have a lot of pressure on the defense. But it's reasonable to suggest tonight with Cooper Moore on the mound, there will be pressure on LSU's infield defense. And LSU's infield defense is probably better with Trent Caraway out there. What do you think about that matchup? Do you want to put a left-handed bat in there in Seth Dardar, who hasn't swung it very well and isn't a great defensive player, but you know that he can swing it well? He did it last year at Kansas State. He did it in the first 2 weeks of the season. I don't know what Jay thinks about that. It's not just the offensive aspect against a great pitcher tonight. It's the defensive aspect against the lineup as well that you have to marry together. And I'm very, very curious how Jay handles that. Cooper Moore needs to get back on the saddle. I think, this is my opinion, that last week was an outlier for Moore. He just didn't have great command. He did give up some hits, and Vanderbilt just got to him. And I really still believe, based on the stuff I've seen, that Cooper Moore is going to be just fine in that 2 or 3 slot for LSU. Like, I feel good about him there. I think he's going to throw strikes. I like the changeup. He will throw the breaking ball for strikes when he needs it. And I think he is I think a lot of times over the course of 10 SEC weeks, Cooper Moore's stat line is going to look something like 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. I don't think you're going to get him striking out 15 like he did, like Kaysen did last night. And I don't think he's going to be out of the strike zone a ton. He's going to give up some hits, try to keep those to singles. He's going to give up some contact. LSU's got to field him. And I think he's going to pitch out of some trouble because he has good stuff, a great makeup, and a very good changeup, and the fastball runs. So I think this is a bounce-back spot for Cooper Moore, and I feel like this is a huge, huge game for LSU. I'm going to try my best, not every single Friday, to come up here and say how huge the series is. They are, but that's repetitive, and it becomes white noise. But if LSU can win tonight, and you can win the first 2 of the series, you can win your 4th game in a row, you can beat one of the most statistically dominant pitchers in the SEC to this point. I'm not ready to put him in the category with some of the guys in the league in terms of stuff, but statistically, Mercurius has been as good as anybody in the SEC. If you can beat him, and you can hand the ball to William Schmidt on Saturday with a chance to sweep the series, and you've won 4 in a row, and you've beaten what I believe is going to end up being Oklahoma's ace, I think Mercurius is going to pitch next Friday. They can't run Camp Johnson back out there missing everything by a foot. There's just no way they can do that. Mercurius is going to pitch on Fridays for them starting next week, I believe. If you can beat a Friday guy the second week in a row, because they beat Fennell last week, Moore can get back on the horse. You can win. You give yourself a chance to sweep. All of a sudden, this starts to feel a lot different. It starts to feel a lot different. If you lose tonight, and you don't swing the bats, and you put some pressure on yourself to go out there and win behind Schmidt, and then all of a sudden you don't, and then all of a sudden you're back to where you were. You've gained all this goodwill with Case and Evans' effort, and then you let all the air out of the balloon. It's a long season, and you don't have to overreact to everything. And if they lose tonight, they got a great chance to win tomorrow because Schmidt's really good, and you're at home. And Oklahoma won't have its best two arms, most talented two arms. But if you win tonight, you can start to sense a bit of a shift. And there are going to be multiple shifts throughout the course of this 10-week season. Like, LSU's not done losing series. I think we can all agree on that. They're not going to lose to Vanderbilt and go win 9 in a row. They're not done losing series. So there are going to be more shifts and twists and turns. But I also told you when you got home from Vanderbilt, like, okay, you've got 6 home SEC games before you play 4 absolutely brutal series. Absolutely brutal. Away from home 3 times and home against A&M, who's very talented. So to me, this one feels like it's got some weight to it. I told you in the first segment of the show today, 1 hour and 8 minutes ago, I said, man, doesn't it feel different today to wake up and think about LSU baseball because of what Case and Evans did. If Moore can follow suit and the offense can score some runs and you can beat a second consecutive ace, considering Fennell last week, you didn't beat him, but you hit him. You can do that. You can start to frame the narrative a little bit more positively. That was a long 3 weeks, and we're not out of the woods yet. But tonight feels important. I can't wait to see what Jay does in terms of facing Mercurius, plus what you want to do on the infield defense. Need some guys to come through. And how about this? I'll leave you with this on tonight's game. How about this? Hit the ball over the fence. Hit the ball over the fence. I know there are guys on this team that can hit it over the fence. Zach York can hit it over the fence. Stephen Milam can hit it over the fence. Cade Arambidi can hit it over the fence. John Pearson can hit it over the fence. I know Brown can. He's doing it all the time. I don't have to put him in this discussion. It's easier to score runs if you bash the ball out of the ballpark. Vanderbilt's doing it. A&M did it to this guy last week. Hit a couple of homers. If you want to hit 3, I won't complain about it. I want some homers tonight. It's warm. The wind's blowing out of the south. Hit the ball out of the yard. That's what I want to see tonight. Come back with more. We got 45 minutes to go this week on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's March. It is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Why is that important? Well, colon cancer is very, very common, but it's preventable and treatable if you catch it early. Well, how do you catch it early? Screening. That can detect those precancerous polyps before they turn into cancer. Okay, well, who needs to get screened? When do I need to do that? Adults beginning at age 45, unless you've got family history, then it may need to be a little bit older. If you've got some abdominal pain, some of those symptoms, go get yourself checked out. Colonoscopy remains the gold standard here. For those at a low risk, maybe an at-home test is possible, but have that established relationship with your primary care provider, and that makes all the difference. They can guide you for the right screenings at the right time, including when it's appropriate to schedule that colonoscopy. So ask about your personal risk. Early detection saves lives. Schedule an appointment, Ochsner.org/schedule. That's Ochsner.org/schedule, or through the My Ochsner app.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Raising Cane's, we hand batter every chicken finger, mix every cane sauce, butter every Texas toast, stir every slaw, and salt every fry. Because when you do it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Everything you need for a stunning garden is at the Plant Barn in Baton Rouge. From trees and shrubs to plants and pottery, the Plant Barn has it all at great prices. Visit us today on Valley Street, right off Perkins Road in South Downs.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here. We eat out here. We watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Looking for something to do this weekend? How about take a tour of Marucci? It's a gem here in Baton Rouge. It really is. Such a cool story. If you don't know the story of Marucci, go learn about it with a campus tour over there. Learn how 22 years ago, an athletic trainer and a couple of former big leaguers said, let's make a bat. Let's make another bat. Let's make some bats. Now they make the bat, the official bat of Major League Baseball. And you can see where they make 1,200 of them every single day. Major League Baseball is within a week now. Opening day is Thursday of next week, and when you turn on big leagues this year, you'll see a ton of Marucci lumber being swung around. And it's a cool story here in Baton Rouge. So go see where they make the bats. Go hear the story of how they came to do it. Check out Marucci at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. Every single ticket that you buy there comes with a 20% discount on the Campus Tour store and in the Hitter's House as well. Matt Moscona was out there earlier this week at Marucci doing his show AFR live from there. Go by and see him at Marucci. Check out tickets at maruccisports.com. All right, a couple finals in today from March Madness. Texas Tech smashes Akron by 20. 91-71 was the final there. It was just a 5-point game at halftime, and then Texas Tech was off and running in the second half. And if you missed this earlier, Kentucky with a dramatic thriller in overtime over Santa Clara. Overtime wasn't so dramatic or thrilling, but the end of regulation was wild. Kentucky hit a bucket to tie it with about 20 seconds to go. Nobody had any timeouts. Santa Clara came down and hit a three to go up 3 with less than 10 seconds to play. Kentucky, with no timeouts, inbounded, got it to Otega Owe, who threw it in from about 40 feet off the glass to send it to overtime as time expired. Owe had 35 points in this game, also had 8 rebounds and 7 assists, so a sensational effort from Kentucky's best player to keep them alive in this tournament. You look at some of the other scores currently. Arizona hammering Long Island in a 16-1 matchup, 72-45. Iowa State and Tennessee State are just underway. That's a 15-2 matchup. Kentucky will get the winner of this one, and Iowa State's up 9-3 very early. But I did just look up at the screen and see an Iowa State player getting kind of carried off. He was putting a little bit of weight on his foot. I have no idea what happened, but it was like 2 minutes into the game, so clearly a starter for Iowa State. We'll see what's going on there. Virginia trying to hold off Wright State in a 14-3 matchup. It is 53-all right now with 13 minutes to play in that one, so very, very interesting. Some SEC action today. At 2:15, Alabama will take on Hofstra. At 3:25, Tennessee is playing Miami of Ohio. Florida will start its tournament run against Prairie View A&M tonight at 8:25, and then Missouri and Miami are basically the nightcap on True TV. That game will be played out in St. Louis, and that'll I forgot about that. Miami got sent to Missouri to play Missouri, which is just outrageous. But there's one game I want to talk about, Jordan, and I know the guys on Sports Today, on Live at Lunch talked about it today. North Carolina got run down last night by VCU.
Yep.
And you know my take on the guy next to the guy is probably not the guy. The guy next to the guy is probably not the guy. So when Roy Williams hangs him up and you're North Carolina you just tap the next guy on the shoulder, I think that's weak. Now, Duke's done it with John Shire, and it looks pretty good. But you saw what happened at A&M baseball last year. We'll see what happens with Tennessee baseball this year. You know that oftentimes the guy next to the guy is not the guy. That's why I would be selling stock in Ole Miss football right now. But, and this is part of this is Roy Williams. It's not all Hubert Davis. But in the last 7 years, 5 times in 7 years, North Carolina has not advanced past the round of 64. They were a 1 seed 1 year and got to the second weekend, and then they played in the final in Hubert Davis's first year.
Yeah,
but there's 1 year they did make the tournament altogether. That would have been the COVID year. There's 1 year they made the play-in and won a play-in game but got beat in the round of 64, and then they've gotten beat twice in the round of 64 under Hubert Davis. 5 out of 7 years, North Carolina has not played in the round of 32. That can't fly.
No, it can't fly. It's the same way as LSU. Has to be in the playoffs, or the head coach has to go. North Carolina, they're the same way, but they're more on basketball. But the main thing that my takeaway from all this, Hunt, is that if you ask me, North Carolina, they just haven't had the talent over the years, like the last couple of years. Caleb Wilson's like the only outlier, and this is rare, but when's the last time you heard of a North Carolina player going like top 5? You see a Duke guy every year.
Oh, they're an assembly line over there.
Literally, every year there's a Duke guy in the top 10, top 5 going in the draft. You don't really, other than Caleb Wilson this year, you really can't even tell who was the last North Carolina guy to come through.
And this is like 416th on my list of like complaints with the Hubert Davis North Carolina whole thing. But his press conference last night sucked. Sucked. They would ask him questions like, I don't know. Yeah.
Why'd you squeeze the rotation down to 6?
My call.
It's
like, again, if you win by 50, you can answer in one question, and answering a long sentence is not going to help anybody in North Carolina. But like, if you're going to lose like that, and you're going to have an 18-point lead, and they got run down in the second half,
literally blew it.
I'm going to need you to act like an adult and a professional here and answer some questions. Like it was not a demeaning question. Why did you decide to shrink the rotation?
No, it wasn't.
I need to hear an answer for that, because you might have gotten tired.
They
look
were
at
tired down the
Sienna.
stretch. Yeah.
Sienna tried to play 5 guys. Well, it got crushed in the last 4 minutes. It's hard to play 40 straight minutes. Hard to play 20 straight minutes. And Hubert Davis shrunk it down to 6. Like, it's just, I'm not going to talk about the Syracuse job opening here. I'm not going to talk about whether or not, Washington needs to fire their basketball coach. But like, North Carolina's a big story, and they're just not very good.
They're not good,
now.
man.
They're just not very good.
They're not good. I just feel like when you get run down like that is a reflection on the coaches. It's a quit. It's a quit aspect that they had. I get it. Not having Caleb Wilson it's
a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I'm not going to sit there and act like not having a top 5 pick on the team.
But to Haney's point, which I would have said if he didn't say it, like, you're supposed to have 3 of those. You're North Carolina.
Yes.
You need to have 3 guys. So one guy goes down. I need the next guy that's going to go 13th in the draft to come get me 30 points, because it's North Carolina.
No, that is a great point. That's what I was getting about, what the lack of talent. Outside of Caleb Wilson, who was the last guy? Maybe Otto Porter years ago? No, he went to Georgetown. Otto Porter. Oh, Harrison Barnes, 2012.
That was a long time ago.
Harrison Barnes. Like, come on, man.
It's just not good enough. Speaking of good enough and good enough players, what do you think about Arkansas right now?
I love him. A-Cuff. I don't think I can say that on the LSU radio waves, but nah, man.
You can. We're a non-factor here. We're not in the tournament, okay?
You're right.
I got my gold shirt on and my purple hat today. And I love March Madness. I love the NCAA tournament. We're reacting to Kentucky in the break, making a 3 at the buzzer. Like, I love March Madness. We're not in it. So we don't have a dog in this fight.
Okay.
But the Hogs are playing.
Oh, yes.
And it's not just A-Cuff, although it's a lot A-Cuff. They got 3 dudes that are hooping right now. Trevin Brazil is throwing down alley-oops. He's knocking down threes. He looks really good. And, they've got 2 of the best freshmen in the country. But they could make a push on this thing.
They could. If Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond,
Malik Thomas is nasty.
He's nasty. But that another thing we just talked about, talent. Yes. Coach Kyle's going to bring talent.
This was the deal when they hired him. When they hired Calipari, I sat here on the radio and I said, look, this is a good idea by Arkansas. It has run its course at Kentucky. They're cranky. I get it. But if you're Arkansas, and you hire the next John Pelfrey or you hire Joe Mid-Major to come be the next guy, it might be Eric Musselman, who did a great job. It might be a disaster, and you might stink. At least if you hire Calipari, your floor is super high.
Yep.
He's going to get a couple of stud freshmen. He's going to get guys to recruit. You got Tyson Chicken money. You'll get some dudes, and you'll have at least a decent team. But they got a dude this time, and if let's just put it this way.
Yeah.
If Arkansas has to snap this streak of heartbreak and failure and not winning anything ever, and they're not going to do it in football, but in basketball and baseball, they've got a chance. I'd rather them do it in basketball and not do it in Omaha. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't like Calipari. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't dislike Calipari. I've never respected his coaching acumen. I just think he assembles the crew and says go drive and score. And Acuff can do that. So good. But I don't want them winning in Omaha. I want them if they're gonna snap it, I'd rather it be. Do you think they're a legitimate title contender?
Well, I'm the guy that has them winning on his bracket, so I think so, but again, it's just all about if you can get Acuff, and that's going to be hard when you play the better teams. They're going to have guys that can defend him. The better teams are going to be a lot deeper. If you can find a way to get him going, but not just get him going, but get him to where he's creating for everybody else, they're hard to beat.
So their route is now High Point.
Oh, that's easy money.
Arizona.
Yikes.
And Purdue.
Arizona's going to be a problem. That's a buzzsaw. You know, we're talking about a buzzsaw. Florida.
I mean, that's how many scouts are packing that joint to watch Arkansas play Arizona.
Packed
every team
to the gills.
Well, the Pelicans won't have one there because all those guys will be gone by the time they pick.
Well, we ain't picking nothing.
You're not getting the A-Cup. You're not getting Pete.
We're not looking at nobody. I can't even last year I was able to be I'll tell you this. The three guys I did a video on last year at this point, I was like, hey, we need to look at Jeremiah Fears, look at Derek Queen, and look at Con Knippel. And the fact that we end up getting two of them, I just didn't think in the end we would be sitting here a year later okay, well, we kind of need one of these picks right now. We don't have that pick.
If I have one outcome I'm looking for in this NCAA tournament, I just want to make sure Alabama loses.
They have Hofstra?
They got Hofstra right now.
Okay.
Texas Tech has already won, so they're next. Then Michigan, then Kentucky, Iowa State down there in Tennessee. Okay. So I don't care what round they lose in. They can lose in the first round. They can lose in the Elite Eight. Whatever. Just not a title. Because Oates is my number one most hated in the entire conference right now.
Nate Oates.
Number one.
Why is Nate Oates your number one?
Because the root of it is that in the SC tournament, he screamed GTFO at Will Wade.
Oh, wow.
And once that happens to my coach, it's over. And when you're wearing the Crimson A and you're kind of prickly and not real cuddly and you got legal issues all over the place all the time, I'm out. So Oates is number one. I don't like Mingione at Kentucky baseball. On the football side of things, there's not anybody that I really dislike.
Pistol Pete up there. Pistol Pete, come on now.
Golding? I don't give a rip about Pete Golding. That guy, who cares? The guy's in the shadows for 10 years. Saban's gone. I'm trying to think about. I don't give I don't care about Alex Golish or Silverfield or Jeff Levy or Pete Golding. Elko.
That was Elko.
He seems fine. He did pop off a little bit about the Brian Kelly record at night.
He was popping.
He was 20-2. But I mean, he seems fine. I don't give a rip about Texas and Sark and all of them. And there's just not a lot. Not a lot of that I'm really hating these days. So it's Oates. Oates is number one, and I need him out. If it's Hofstra today, whatever. But you can't scream Nick Mingione at Kentucky yelled at Tyler Hanover 14 years ago, and I haven't given up on it. Good luck, Nate Oates, getting me settling that vendetta. And by the way, if you're North Carolina or Kentucky, who needed to throw in a prayer today to beat Santa Clara, the fact that they have not hired Nate Oates is absurd. Just go get the coach who plays in a rusted old barn in Tuscaloosa and take him out of there to a blue blood so I don't have to deal with it at Alabama. Because the second he leaves Tuscaloosa, the same thing's going to happen there that happened at Florida when Billy Donovan left, that has happened at Auburn 5 minutes after Bruce Pearl left.
Yeah, that was nasty.
When those legends leave at these football schools, Poof, cloud of dust. LSU was pretty good at basketball under Will Wade. How are we looking? So, get Oates out of there so I don't have to think about Alabama basketball again, and go hire him to Kentucky or North Carolina where he's basically out of my life. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, you're going to be wishing hard because I think Alabama, they're going to keep him by all means.
If Kentucky comes calling, here's the story.
Okay.
So when LSU was looking to hire Jay Johnson, one of my buddies from Tennessee texted me and said, "Don't take our baseball coach."
Lord,
and I just texted back. I said, "We determine who your baseball coach is. We're LSU. If we say he's ours."
Yeah.
And that's what I feel about Kentucky and North Carolina. If they decide that Nate Oates is going to one of those schools, Tobacco Road or Whiskey Alley, Bluegrass, they're coming up with the cash. It's over. He's leaving. So that's what I need.
That's crazy because that's literally what LSU did to Ole Miss. It's an evil world, man. This little pecking order of certain schools, that's just evil, man. Please don't take our Coach Hunt. He's like, hey, man,
we decide.
Yeah, that's nasty. That's nasty. You know what? You know how nasty that was. Ole Miss fans knew this was coming. When in November.
Yeah.
It was November. Remember they were doing the chant after. I can't tell you what game it was. It might have been the Florida game.
Florida game.
Yeah, we won Lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's nasty. That's nasty. That's nasty.
All right, LSU's women's basketball team is 2 hours and 30 minutes from tip-off. Patrick Wright will be on the call from the PMAC tonight. We'll talk to him about the weekend to come next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. Just bank with those guys. They're local, and they're awesome. And they got 25 locations across Southeast Louisiana. So if your business is looking for a commercial loan, they got you covered at First American Bank and Trust. If you're looking for a home, a forever home, and need a loan for that, First American Bank and Trust is happy to help you with that. It's a community bank. They've been right here in Southeast Louisiana for 116 years. 116 years. They're a family-owned and operated business that, talk about management saving 25 years with the bank. That's an average, branch by branch. People trust them. People recognize them. People find comfort in them. It's First American Bank and Trust. You can find them online, FABT.com, FABT.com. It's a community bank. It's not a mom and pop shop. They're not small. 25 locations means they've got the resources to help you. So if you're looking for a commercial loan, if you're looking for a personal loan, First American Bank and Trust.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free, confidential help now.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Looking to settle in and watch a bunch of hoops this weekend? No better spot to grab your grub from than Corks. Menus online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Big old jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy, clean fried catfish, shoestring fries. Got your beignet bites as well. Delicious baked potatoes with the crawfish etouffee on the top. It's a Lenten Friday if you're looking to observe and get on by to abstain from meat. Corks happy to have you on Government between Foster and Jefferson. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. Pair of games tonight from the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. LSU in Jacksonville at 5 o'clock. Then Texas Tech and Villanova will follow in the nightcap at about 7:30. Patrick Wright will be on the call for LSU and Jacksonville. He's the voice of LSU women's basketball. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Friday. Patrick, how are you?
Hey, doing good. March Madness in the air. It's a great time of the year.
Certainly is. Should be an awesome environment in the PMAC tonight. Look, I'm 51.5 is the point spread here. Do we anticipate tonight looking a little bit like November and December in the Assembly Center?
It should. We're not quite at that point yet where the women's game can have a 15 threat and a 2 for a long time, or a 16 with a 1. And even the 3 versus 14 matchups are not great. So, no, it shouldn't be, but hopefully it will be a good opportunity for LSU to kind of kick the rust off a little bit from a couple of weeks off. The SEC tournament's always been a week before the men's, so the women always get a couple of weeks off. They've had a couple of these first games in the tournament in the past where they've struggled a little bit, talking about LSU. But last year they came out and blew the doors off San Diego State, beat them by 50 in that first game. So as Coach Mulkey does, I think, she's adjusted in her time in the SEC with this extra week off, and she uses it real well. I think she'll have the team ready to go tonight.
Is there something that you're looking for tonight from a specific player or on one side of the floor in a game that should potentially get out of hand in the second or third quarter?
I'm looking to hopefully keep turnovers down. Not that LSU's had a problem with that, but Jacksonville, when they're playing well, can turn you over a little bit. They're not a big team. LSU should absolutely dominate this game on the boards. Jacksonville doesn't have anybody over 6'2" that's really going to play, and the LSU can just run all kinds of big bodies out there. So this shouldn't be a game that, there should be a close rebound margin, and it shouldn't be a game that hopefully LSU has a lot of turnovers. I'm looking for Mylasia Fulwiley to continue her momentum. She averaged 22 points a game her last 5 coming down the stretch, where she finally kind of has found her spot in the rotation and what her role is, and she has just really, really come alive. And I'm looking for a big March Madness for her. And Flaugier, it's her last go-around. Not many players stay 4 years anymore. Coach got emotional talking about it the other day. Flaugier had some kind of uneven games toward the end, so I'm hoping she can start a big run with some good play tonight.
I know last year Flaugier was dealing with an injury entering the NCAA tournament. How's LSU from a health perspective with the 2 weeks off? Are they good to go?
LSU is in the best shape they have absolutely been in going into any of these tournaments. Even, like Coach's first year, we were dealing with Alexis Morris being hurt, and then you had Flaugier and Michaela last year, a couple of years ago, and Poa had a concussion at the SEC tournament. Like, we're dealing with none of that. So with the couple weeks off, Flaugier was battling a little bit of an ankle issue toward the end, but with the 2 weeks off, I saw a little bit of practice yesterday. She looked fine. So I think I think we're as good as we've been at any point in any of these postseasons.
Talking with Patrick Wright, the voice of LSU women's basketball. They'll be in action tonight, 5 o'clock against Jacksonville. How do you feel watching this team and observing the rest of the country as LSU comes in as a 2 seed here for the first time under Kim Mulkey? How do you feel this looks for LSU?
Well, it looks pretty good in that LSU will not face a lot of mismatches that they can't handle because they're so deep and flexible. I mean, she's got a rotation of 9, and if we need to go a little big, she can do that with Kate Koval and Amaya Joyner. If she feels like she needs a little more quickness in the post, you got Zakiya Johnson and Grace Knox. And then during the game, she can adjust to that. And so we're not as in jeopardy of having a bad matchup issue with whoever may pop up on the schedule in March as it happens sometimes. I feel like we're equipped to handle just about anything. Now, we're going to run into some pretty good teams, potentially a Duke team that we've already beaten, and then a UCLA team who is just absolutely crazy and loaded. But LSU, I think, can match up with anything that they see, anything that any other team can throw at them at this point.
Yeah, Duke is already through. They have won, and in that game in Cameron that's going on right now, Baylor is down 4 to Nebraska, and they're just about to start the fourth quarter there from Durham. So let's talk about the game tonight. I don't know how much you know about Texas Tech and Villanova at this point. Certainly, LSU expects to see one of them on Sunday evening. What can you tell us about the 7 seed and the 10 seed that you do know?
It's going to be a great matchup. You know, Texas Tech started 19-0 this season. Okay, not bad for a 7 seed. Now, they fell off a little bit. They went 6-7 down the stretch. They lost to a lower seeded Kansas State team in their tournament. But they have a road win at West Virginia, who is a host, so a top 4 seed. And they're from a power conference, and they've played a good schedule. So they could certainly be a threat. Villanova is the one that's kind of interesting. And Texas Tech, by the way, a team, they force about 20 turnovers a game. So if you play them, you absolutely have got to take care of the basketball. Villanova and Texas Tech actually have the same record. They're both 25-7, but Villanova, 3 of their losses were to UConn.
Okay.
Now, in 2 of those games, UConn body slammed them, like what UConn does to everybody. But in the 3rd game, in the middle of the season, Villanova was the only team that led UConn at halftime this year. They ended up losing the game by 13, but they gave them one of the best games they've had. So Villanova has good basketball in them. If they can, battle UConn the way that they did, they're a little bit more of a slower team. They don't want to run up and down with you. They kind of want to make it a slower game. But I think it's 2 pretty solid 7 and 10 seeds to get, and I think it'll be a great game when they play each other tonight.
Appreciate the time, Patrick. Have a great call tonight. Hopefully another great call on Sunday, a successful weekend, and we'll move on to next week. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, hon. Thanks.
Patrick Wright, voice of LSU women's basketball. Tigers in Jacksonville tonight at 5 o'clock. You can watch that on ESPN if you're looking for it. And then the nightcap on ESPNU between Texas Tech and Villanova. LSU, as he mentioned, shouldn't have any problem with Jacksonville in this one. And then we'll see what happens between Texas Tech and Villanova. The other pod, as Patrick mentioned, is over in Durham. Duke has already beat Charleston. They're the 3 seed. They beat them 81-64. And Baylor, Kim Mulkey's old team, is trailing by 6 at the end of the 3rd quarter. So probably going to be, it'll be either Baylor or Nebraska against Duke, and LSU would see the winner of that in the Sweet 16 should the Tigers advance through the weekend. So that'll be another thing for LSU fans to watch this weekend. And LSU baseball does not play on Sunday, so the LSU women's basketball team will have the spotlight here in Baton Rouge if they can advance to Sunday. And I think we all feel pretty good about that as a 51.5-point favorite at this point against Jacksonville. So that is that with LSU women's basketball. We'll come back and close out the week. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Some call it over-planning. At Boudreaux's Electrical Services, they call it foresight. Because you know that you're going to have power outages in this part of the world. We have severe thunderstorms in the summer. We've got hurricanes. We even have winter events. And sometimes the power just goes out and you don't really even know why. That's the most frustrating thing. Don't lose power. Just get that Generac home standby generator outside of your home so that when the power goes off, you come right back up. Maybe you're at a point in your life where you've got a very, very young child, or maybe you're at a spot where you're working from home and you just can't have power outages. Change it with Boudreaux's Electrical. Get that Generac home standby generator. Give them a call at 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or the Gonzales location at 225-300-9389. Neil and Melissa have been running this for 40 years. They're family owned and operated right here in South Louisiana. Do business with a local business that will be here for customer service when it comes to installation of the generator, when it comes to maintenance of the generator, when it comes to monitoring the generator, when it comes to the customer service. Boudreaux's Electrical is where you need to get that generator from. So give them a call or check them out online at boudreauxelectrical.com.
Championships are won with preparation, and so are great roofs.
Coach is tough on us about preparation, and Paris brings that same championship mindset.
Do business with someone you know. Paris Construction and Roofing.
ParisGroup.com. Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. Now the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories,
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Might be a few people in Tuscaloosa a little bit on edge right now. Hofstra 28, Alabama 18. If there are some Alabama fans that are on edge, want to give Aiden Holloway a call, he might be able to help you out with something there.
Hey, man, Chris Mahler's here. You might need to give him a call.
Call Aiden Holloway. If you need to take the edge off, I think he's got a supply.
He's got good prices, too. He's got great prices.
Hofstra 28, Alabama 18. Also on the ropes, Virginia. They lead Wright State 71-70 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go in that game. No such issue for Iowa State. They're up 25 points, 40-15 on Tennessee State.
It feels like this is a problem every year. Virginia is bleeping the bed when it matters.
They're scoring points. They got 71. Usually in the Bennett days, it was like, oh, well, we were losing like 58-52.
Yeah, but you know, aren't they the first team to lose to a 16 seed?
They were.
That's that nasty taste in my mouth that is just still, every time I see Virginia, is like, leave them alone. Never again.
But guess what? The next year, they won the national championship.
They did win the national championship.
That was the next year.
You know what? That just goes to show you, man. Well, I can't say that was a turnaround because they were the 1 seed the year before
my
that.
take on the Bennett era in Virginia, I think it was great. Like, everyone hated it because they played a lot of defense and it was slow, and you're trying to win the game. Like, if LSU goes out there and has great pitchers or a great football defense, I'm not going to complain about it. Like, I mean, I like it when Joe Burrow scores 1 billion points, but if you need to win like the 03 LSU football team is and just stuff every quarterback in a locker, that's part of it. I thought Virginia in the Bennett era was awesome. I think it's great. They can hold everybody to 58. That's pretty cool to me.
And they were putting out a lot of NBA players back then.
They were. They got a 3-point lead with 3 minutes to go in that game, so that's a look at the scoreboard of March Madness. LSU baseball tonight, 6:30 from the box. As I mentioned earlier in the show, this one just feels like it's got a little weight to it because you've won 3 in a row. You can win the series tonight. You feel great about Schmidt going on Saturday. And you feel like you can really maybe make some headway and turn some things around based on the way Casey Evans looked last night. And that's the way I see it. LJ Mercurius is very good. And it would surprise me a little bit if LSU just knocked it all around the yard tonight. A&M hit him out 3 times last week, but he's been great for 5 weeks now. So we'll see. I will not make a pick because I didn't make a pick yesterday. That worked out. So I will not be making a pick, but I'm hopeful that LSU goes out there and gets it done tonight. I'll be in the box tomorrow and very much looking forward to seeing William Schmidt in the Golds dealing against the Sooners. But hopefully they're going for a sweep. We will see. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so the Kansas City Chiefs are reportedly in the mix to sign Saints all-time sack leader and veteran pass rusher Cam Jordan in free agency. Chiefs superstar defensive tackle Chris Jones posted on X last week saying Cam Jordan, just his name. That's all he put was Cam Jordan. So, and of course they are in talks. So Cam Jordan won't be in the black and gold next season. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have a changing in the guard. I mean, you've lost to Mario. Yep. Cam feels like he might be on the way out, and there's even a possibility, if not a probability, I would say possibility at this point, that Alvin Kamara won't be with the team. So that's okay. It's just a new era. It's a new time. I've been saying for years that, or not, well, like over a year, that like the next great Saints team is probably not going to have a lot of these guys on it. Tyron, DeMario, Cam, Kamara, like all these guys that have been stalwarts, and it feels that way now. So that's okay. It's don't cry because it's over. Just smile because it happened.
No, definitely smiling to happen, and also smile that he's leaving the division, leaving the conference, going to the AFC. I don't care, man.
You pull a Bobby Hebert and go to the Falcons,
man,
and Morton Anderson go to the Falcons.
Your legacy gone.
No.
Gone.
Cajun Cannon does the pre and post game show. He went to the Falcons.
Look, that's cool. You the all-time sack leader, brother. You can't wear no other. No.
Morton Anderson's in the Hall of Fame. He went to the Falcons.
He's a kicker. You can't be Cam.
Kicker.
You can't be Mr. I hate the Falcons and sign with the Falcons.
Kicker.
No. He's a kicker, man. Come on now.
Kickers are people too.
They got kids out here with 94 jerseys. Have some respect, Cam. Come on now. All right, so the Pittsburgh public school system will operate remotely from April 22nd to April 24th because they're hosting the 2026 NFL Draft. With road closures, high security, blah, 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 they feel that it'd be better for schools to be remote while all this going on in the city. So, as a father, would you want to have your kids at home while school's going on? Take it or leave it?
Take it. Here's why.
I'll take it. Okay.
I've been in Pittsburgh. LSU, West Virginia, 2011.
All right.
We stayed in Pittsburgh.
How was it?
It was great. I
Really?
loved Pittsburgh. Clean, gorgeous. Went to a Pirates game. Casino. It was awesome.
Really? Okay.
So, on Sunday morning, it was a night game in Morgantown. We didn't get back to the hotel till like 2 a.m. We had to get up for an early flight. We have a rental car. I'm by myself. I go down, get my car out of the garage. I'm driving to the airport. I have MapQuest printed out. It's pre-iPhone.
Oh, Lord.
I have MapQuest
printed out.
So I pull out into downtown Pittsburgh, and there's a marathon.
Oh, no.
So
you're
all
stuck.
the roads are just
Blocked.
closed. And I am pulling up to cops being like, I have a flight. How do I get to the airport? It was a madhouse downtown. So if they're closing off a bunch of streets and stuff for the draft, I've been in downtown Pittsburgh with closed streets. It was not good. So keep the kids at home.
Keep the kids at home. Okay, so the Nationals.
I made it, by the way. Brent Musburger was at the airport. I saw him.
It sounded like a good trip, honestly.
It was a great trip.
It must have sounded like a good
I
bar
won
story.
at the casino, too. I thought I won like $80. Thought I was just
rich.
The richest.
The richest. Best $80 ever. So the Nationals have announced that outfielder Dylan Cruz has been optioned to the AAA. Cruz is now 24 years old, is one of the top prospects in the league. The Nationals took him second overall in the 2023 draft. So should national fans be worried? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, that's stunning to me. Absolutely stunning that they would send him to AAA, and it's a little bit damning, quite frankly. I've never seen a better player at LSU. I've said that a million times. I think he's the best player in the history of the program.
Oh, wow.
And I thought he was a slam dunk, very, very good MLB player. And so, and there's nothing saying he won't be. But for him to have played last year all year and then be sent down to start this year is really, really not good. So if there's something he's got to work on for a couple of weeks, great. If he's dealing with a minor injury I don't know about, they don't want to use a roster spot on him for a couple of weeks, okay. But if he's just not hitting and they don't think he's good enough to make a team that's not going to make the playoffs this year, they're not going anywhere. The Nationals are in a brutal division. The Braves are awesome. The Phillies are awesome. The Mets are awesome. The Marlins are usually better than they're supposed to be. The Nationals are the worst team in that division. Mm-hmm. So they're not going anywhere. So if they're not going to let their young guy play, that's a tough look.
Yeah, that is kind of once you broke it down like that and knowing that they're not going anywhere fast.
They're the worst team in the division,
and they still can't give them the experience or the reps. Yeah, that is kind of
bad.
So that's it for take it or leave it.
All right, that's it for take it or leave it. Iowa State in the one game we've got on TV here is 44-19 over Tennessee State. So if you got the Cyclones, you're feeling pretty good about that. We're done. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU for LSU football. We had Sam Spiegelman talking recruiting, so you can find that. Also Hunt on Saints wherever you find your Saints content. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We're out of here. Back Monday talking March Madness and LSU baseball.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Before we leave, Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They are on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's a gorgeous day to make a little drive up to St. Francisville and check out this incredible inventory. And tomorrow, you can do the same thing. Should be another awesome weather day in South Louisiana. So no matter where you are, Baton Rouge, north of town in Zachary or Baker or Scotlandville or in the Felicianas, maybe you're over in Point Capee, you want to make that short drive up to St. Francisville like my wife and I did a couple of weeks ago, you're going to see an incredible inventory of trucks, and the deals are fantastic. Up to $11,000 off MSRP on Silverados, up to $13,000 on GMC Sierras, also 0.0 APR financing on those Sierras. If you're looking for a truck, this is your spot. If you're looking for an SUV, Tahoes, Suburbans, Yukons, Denali's, Fabry Chevrolet GMC is your spot. The Fabry family's been at this for 35 years. You know what you're going to get. Wonderful customer service, an incredible buying experience. And you can start it online at FabryChevrolet.com. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You can find them online at FabryChevrolet.com.
The Canes Box Combo.